Okay, a couple minutes late. Let's see if we've got. Ooh, it's not the right camera. Still not the right camera. Sorry, this is the best I. Ooh. Let's see if that kind of drops down a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Perhaps. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Hey, I'm not like just peeking everything. That's kind of crazy talk. All right. Well, I mean, let's do this. That way we at least have something to look at. And that something is me. Hi. There we go. Hey everybody, Mike with Accounting for Cycling. I think I might have zoomed in here too. Nope, that doesn't do anything on this one. All right, cool. Anyways, so today's stream is going to be some bike maintenance. Basically, I'm going to be changing the flat tire that I have on my commuter e-bike, which is Green Gina. This is her up in the work stand here. You can see why she is green. She's got the nice sparkly paint. That is Ruby in the background there on the indoor trainer. So I'm trying to get my DJI Pocket 3 just to, show anything here. Yeah, no, I can see that. Okay. So the last time I went live was, I don't know, probably back in May. Had a different job. I don't know, shorter beard, probably. With more time working from home, closer to the beginning of the year, and was in the middle of doing more multi-sports, so that was all fun. But yeah, now I work for the government. Yeah, so I don't know, it's still cool. It's a new job. So far it's pretty cool. It is, yeah, I don't know, I'm an IRS agent. I do IRS-y things. Yeah, I think I'm just going to remove this camera and then try and re-add it. I have a feeling NVIDIA Broadcast is doing something here. Remove. So right now I'm in OBS, just trying to set this up. I had it set up, it was working last week. So the problem with having not done a live stream in 6 months, over 6 months, is, I mean, there. You forget things. Like, for instance, all of you were looking at the entirely wrong screen for a while. Hopefully there was audio for that. So, hi, now you can see me. Again, Mike, Accounting for Cycling, my channel. Trying to fix the camera issue here. As you can see, it's going swimmingly. Just spectacular. But if you do have anything in the chat, or if you're here at all, just, say something. I'm present. So, I don't know, YouTube Studio is trying to get me to set a goal for something. I truly don't know what that would be. But yeah, I don't know. Let's do that maybe. Just unplug it and plug it back in. Sometimes that works. It may or may not today. Yeah, I don't know. Boo. Because I really don't just want to set this thing up and use it as my webcam. That doesn't seem to be the problem. That might, start unplugging things. Solution to everything. Do the webcam. There we go. Maybe. Still nothing. All right. Ooh. Okay. Well, let's do a little transition here. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, this is super not exciting right now, but all right. So we have, let's do a little scoot, scoot, scoot. Hello. Here we go. Hello. Active track enabled. Hi. Let's get a little bit of that going. Get some lights on here. All right. Cool. About to get visited by my dog. I can hear her coming up the stairs. Hi, Zadie. Hello. Welcome. Hello. Welcome up. Hi. How are you? What can I help you with? You're just gonna sit right here, show everybody that you ate Sam's cookies? Did somebody fart out of your butthole? People do that from time to time. They fart out of her butthole. Ooh, and it's a good one. You can tell because somebody else farts out of her butt, and then she'll whip her head around and then look at you. Just like that. Yeah. Hi. Hello. I'm just trying to get the chat set up here so I can actually read it. But if you're here, say something in the chat. Hi, or bye, or I can hear you, I can't hear you. Really anything. But yeah, so what we'll do is we'll get this wonderful, clearly quite flat tire here. I don't know if you can even hear that. So I've already taken the little fastener here that just kind of keeps your press valve just out of your rim, as well as the cover for the press valve off of the actual valve. so you can just kind of freely move it there. A lot of these, I don't know, if you really try hard enough, you can just kind of like force them off by hand. That's more of a, if you really are in dire straits and need to get the tire off, you don't have tire levers and nobody's around. Hopefully you never come to that. I imagine if that were the situation, you probably wouldn't have a spare either. So, also we're going to try and not touch these, the disc brakes. I like to leave the warning on there of do not touch them, mostly because I forgot to take them off. And just kind of noticed that they were still there. But stream's finished. Well, certainly is not. All right, well, whatever. YouTube's being dumb right now. So, I'm just going to carry on. Hopefully this is working. If it is, excellent. If it's not, well, I'm just kind of here. But I'm also recording it, so if it's not working, I'll just kind of pop it in later. So I do have tire levers. They're these excellent little things. These are Pedro tire levers. That's just the brand of Pedro's. I also have ones from Silka, and I also have this thingy, which is just it's right here, Cycle Pal, and it's actually supposed to go over onto like one side of the rim, and just, it's more to help you get the tire on than off, but it's over here in case I need it. So what we'll actually be doing here is we're going to just kind of break the seal off of here. Only a big stretch. And I mean, for the most part, it's just kind of, you probably could hear that where it went boom. You're just trying to get the tire off of the rim. And I mean, it's really the exact opposite of putting a tire on. So you use the hook here to just kind of pry in and then separate along the outside. You usually want at least 2 tire levers. It's not as crucial for taking the tire off, but definitely for getting it back on is nice. But just kind of pop that bead off of there. This one's on there pretty good too. And I'm just going to reuse the tire because, I mean, the tire's still in great shape. I mean, it gets some contact on the usual kind of contact points. I run my tires pretty well inflated all the time anyways, so you can see it's still got these little nubs on the side. But like up close and personal, there's some wear, but it's still going to be good for at least through the winter, probably through another year or so. But I do have a spare in the closet if I do actually shred a tire. That's from right after I actually got the bike, and I went on an end of the year bike ride and ran over some tacks that somebody was kind enough to leave in the bike lane. For the crucial reason to carry spares. So it really does one connect. So next what we'll do, and so usually I like to put the cassette side down. It's less delicate than the disc brakes are. Disc brakes, you can kind of, you just don't want to mess them up. You don't want to get fingerprints on them. A lot of times when I am working around the disc brakes, I do have some like nitrate gloves to wear, but I'm not really going to touch them. But if you do, there are disc brake cleaners, or you can use, I think you're supposed to use like 90% or higher isopropyl alcohol, similar to if you have a gaming PC. So I'll kind of go back through that since I did that pretty quick. So essentially what you want to do, and I like to do this across from the valve stem is, which is this guy right here on the bottom, is kind of pull the tire back, try to avoid the tube. Even though the tube is punctured and flat, I'm still going to try and repair it. I do have a patch kit. It was a small staple that went into it. I can likely, after I get this thing off, if I wanted to, I could just take the tube out, patch it, throw the same one back in. I'll probably just throw a new tube in and make that one my spare. So, simple enough. But just kind of hook underneath inside the tire, and the tire levers have these little kind of notches on them, and most of them will have these little spoke notches. So once you're hooked in, you can actually hook your tire lever on. Check your connection, you're offline. Well, there's that. And that way, you can keep the tire pulled out. And with this one, it's a bigger tire. The rim's pretty easy to work with. But with road tires, especially narrower, kind of higher pressure, it's a little bit more important to be able to get that access. But it allows you to kind of pull in here and be able to work your way down and around. And so I could just keep rolling with that one tire lever, but and there we are. We have half of our tire off. All right. Let's see if just trying to get more of the tire in. There. Cool. And you can see that it's, yeah, weird. Blue screen. Well, trying to read from over there, but yeah. I don't know what the latest BIOS on this laptop did, but it is. I'm keeping logs to send to ASUS, whichever way you want to say it, because I'm not pleased with it for something that's supposed to be their Pro Art Creator Series and stable, something that you can work on and not have to worry about the stability. This last BIOS update has been very unstable. So, you know, yeah. Anyways, so the next step then is you take your valve stem and you just kind of push it up through the rim. It's pretty easy on this one because it's nice and shallow, so you can just kind of pop it right up, push the tube up with it, and then slowly and gently, since we are going to try and patch this up. Now, if your tire and tube, or specifically if your tube was just completely shredded and like you had multiple punctures in it, but you know, you're still pretty sure the tire was good, and you don't think you can patch the tube, you're just going to toss it. You don't have to be as careful with it, but most tubes can be patched. There we go. And we'll just kind of gently put this off the side. And here is your bike tube. Now, if it was like my my race tires, or you know, just my aero wheels and tires on my road bike, I wouldn't have one of these because it runs tubeless. It has sealant and lower pressure air. But we do not. I could have sworn I brought a tube over here. She'll be right back. Look at that. What are you doing, Zadie? What's this? Yeah. All right. Excellent. So, I got this one sitting on top of my desk. Yeah, 32 to 47, so it should work perfectly. And 700C. So when you're shopping for a tube, though, you just want to make sure that it's correct size, shape, all of that. Size particularly. You don't want to put the wrong size tube into your tire because it won't fit. It's the biggest. And most tires and tubes, they'll come with the valve cover and the valve nut, valve stopper, valve holder, thing that keeps it from going into the rim. Hi, your mom's coming home very soon. All right. And now I lost the opening. Perfect. It's right here the whole time. So to put the tube back in, yeah, pretty much just go through the exact opposite. So you pull top the tire back, insert, you can run the tube right back in. Now, some people, myself included, like to run a little bit of air in first. And there's two reasons for this. The biggest one's it helps it keep its shape a little bit better. The second one is you can tell if the tube is okay right off the bat. It's not common that you get a manufacturer defect where your tube doesn't hold air right out of the box, but it can happen. So you don't want to put a ton of air in. You just want to make sure it can take a shape. All right. That looks like it. So the pressure gauge on the pump didn't even measure any pressure on it. So I'm not actually even going to tighten this all the way. That way, if we do have to relieve a little bit of pressure on it, we can just do that. But we're going to reinsert the valve. And then pull the tire back out over the edge of the rim here. And you want to just push this, just push the tube up. And this is where putting air into it helps, because it will kind of hold a shape. Now, I probably could have put a little bit more air into here, but it's working just fine. And if I do want to put more air into it, I can, because we've got our valve in. Another nice thing this will do too is it'll keep the tube away from the edges of the rim when we put the tire back on. So, guess who's leaving us now? You can run down there, Zadie. All right, and I'm just gonna throw this on here quick. Not all the way though. We still want a little bit of play just in case, but it'll be nice to have a little bit on there. Just a little bit of security. But I'm going to put a little more, just a little bit more pressure into it. Just to really get it up and away from the walls of the rim. All right. Now, here we are. So, this might bother some people. It does not bother me. Some people, though, will say that like you have to line up the label of the tire with the valve or directly across from it. My road bike, absolutely. It's all about looks. Like, gets you extra watts. On my commuter e-bike, nah, I don't care. Plus, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really totally matter to me, as long as the tires work. So with this one, since the rim is pretty easy to work with, and then also the tire is pretty easy to put on, you can see I was just able to kind of squeeze the tire back onto the rim. I haven't worked with Continental this size, but I know the Continentals that are on my Aero tires, or my Aero wheels, you can't get those on without using this. Or just a lot of pressure, a lot of swearing. There's a video from 2022 when I first got those. Feel free to check that out if you want to see me trying not to swear. That was when I put on the first set of Continental Grand Prix 5000s. Yeah, they were tons of fun. A lot of fun to work with. These, so far, much better. But there we go. Done. And all right. Let's open up the valve here. Connect our pump. And so I actually already used, I've got it up on my whiteboard here, Silka's tire pressure calculator. I usually keep it at 50 PSI in the summer. Winter, I actually keep it about the same. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. All depends on the kind of ride feel I'm looking for. But yeah, so now we'll just kind of pump it up. And once it gets to a certain pressure, you might actually hear it pop onto the rim. Kind of bring it closer too so you can see it. Like, you can see it's kind of a little deformed down there. But and we're currently at 33 PSI. $44. All right, 50. I just have to ease it over a bit. There it goes. Silent one. Just a little bing. There. Nice and easy. And you can see too that since it is my commuter bike, the tires actually have a reflective ring around them. Looks a little bit like, not quite a white wall, more of like a gray wall until light hits it, which is really nice for safety. There we go. And that's nothing to worry about. That's just a little bit of pressure that was built up in the chuck here. There's actually a pressure relief valve here, but Never actually work with anything high enough pressure to necessarily need that. I did think for a while that hopefully it was so you could set the exact right PSI, but it does not work that way for whichever reason. All right, and the final step, you tighten your valve stem nut all the way up, and then you put your valve cover on. And I've got these nice green ones. And these are pretty cheap to pick up off of Amazon. And we'll just kind of rotate over. See if we can get this way. There we go. Great. And this laptop is still sitting on its blue screen, so we're just going to force that closed. For a DPC watchdog violation. Sounds bad. Well, didn't need it. All right, so it's a little tight over here. That's what happens when you have an apartment, workshop, home office, and studio. So now we've moved over to Green Gina. This is the rear side. You can see there's no chain here. Chain is actually over here on my little cart, which hopefully after this is all cleared up, I can actually get on Swift, which is kind of the end goal here. I'm also going to change the lights here quick to be a little less bucks, and a little more studio. So I appreciate your patience while I change things around just ever so slightly, which also includes changing this. Let's see if I can get this right. Let's see. Damn. Probably easier if I just do it this way. All right. Well, enough screwing around with that. Anyways, so we're actually going to flatten the screen out because why not? Yeah, that way I can still see this screen here. This just lets me know how many viewers you can see. It's, yeah, not many. But I appreciate everybody who shows up. Very much. All right. Back to over here. So, next what we'll do is we'll put the wheel back on. So, it's pretty straightforward, really. I mean, we didn't really much to it. Hardest part is you just gotta move all this out of the way. Get the wheel set up here. Gotta grab this, and this is just the actual axle. I'm gonna you don't want to force anything in. So it's all about, it's kind of gentle movements and not cross-threading anything. So you'll notice I'm actually going backwards in the thread here, trying to find the threading. Here we go. Perfect. And I know it's uncool to have a kickstand, but it's a commuter, so it may be uncool, but it's helpful. You can hear that noise. That's the basically it's the like bristles on the side of the tire hitting my cafe lock here. Just, you know, a little extra added sound. But so, yeah, we just used a hex wrench to get it more or less hand tightened. So we're scooching off the side here. As I will pull out my Pro Bike tool. There we go. Torque wrench. Let's see. Yeah, it should give us enough room. And with this one, Specialized sets them to 7 Newton meters of force, which is, I don't know, I always thought that was a little light, but I've never had a wheel fall off, so I guess that's good. And let's go here. And so we will gently move the torque wrench. And so after you get the axle seated, you can use the torque wrench the whole way and just kind of like, you know, spin this thing. It's going the other way. And basically just spin this thing on, until you get the magical click, which means that you've set the proper torque. That would be the magical click. You'll see the head doesn't move at all. So that means we're at 7 Newton meters of force. Very important thing there is to make sure that you don't over tighten anything. You don't destroy any of the threads inside of there. None of the parts, like the axle itself, isn't going to get wrecked. It's not going to get stuck. This is an aluminum frame, so it's not going to like break it per se. Carbon's a little bit more finicky as far as torque wrenches, but I think this one might be 60. But you can get a nice one for between like 40 to 60 bucks, and it's well worth it. And they come with the bits and a case. So if you're going to be working on your bike yourself, it's well worth getting even just a basic torque wrench. And like this thing goes up to 20 Newton meters, and that'll get you most of the way on most of your home bike projects. If you find yourself needing something more than that, that's disc brakes or your hubs. then you get this. And I think this is actually for cars. Well, specifically for trucks. And it goes up to 220 Newton meters. And it can be used as a weapon. But yeah. Also wasn't terribly expensive. I think it was like 100 or so. I don't know. I got it from Harbor Freight. But also, was it Harbor Freight? Oh, either way. I've only used it a handful of times. But torque wrenches, they're not that expensive. Definitely not tricky to use. Once you get them down, you'll actually find so many uses for them. Bed frames, surprisingly. If you've ever moved and found that like 1 or 2 bolts that are near impossible to dislodge, you probably over torqued something. Not saying that those are end all be all, because like a bed frame is probably not a couple $1,000. But at the very least, a torque wrench will allow you to properly remove and put your tire back on. That's surprisingly one of the biggest places where improper maintenance leads to very expensive repairs. So, yeah. I don't see anything in the chat, so I might just put the chain back on myself. It's right here, but I also have nowhere to put the camera. We will test one thing, and if it does not work, it's going to be flying solo. All right, we're going through Gmail. Wow. I know, that's a weird noise. All right. Ooh, that's not strong enough. The case for my Pocket 3 has magnets on it. Still no. No. Ooh. Okay, so I said one thing. I might try one more thing. It's just, you know, the chain's got to go through all this. So it's a little trickier to find like an appropriate spacing for it. Back through. All right. Hey, that looked pretty okay. Now you're kind of getting blinded by, is it that one? Yeah. Here, we'll go up with it. Still want some light here, but not that much. All right, so that actually worked out pretty well. Oops. I just accidentally turned my fans on. Haha. Those are for the indoor trainer. All right. Let's check in the chain. It's doing one last final visual inspection here. So, yeah, I didn't do a perfect job on it, but it's good enough. So, what we'll do is, this is just a 1x chainring on the front. So that makes it pretty easy. But with it being an e-bike, it only goes forward. So you can't just pedal backwards. You either have to move it manually, use a hex wrench to move this manually, because you can't just move the pedals, or you have to use the motor. And I think for that you have to hack it. And we're not about to do that. There we go. And just follow the jockey wheels here. These ones probably could have used some cleaning. Yeah. There. The wipes. They're over here. Ooh. Let's pop that right back up. All right. All right, and let's get these a little quick scrub down. Now, when you do a little rub down of these too, I usually do this in the spring, not at the end of the year. They're not in horrible condition, but as you can see, they've gotten some nastiness. I don't know. I'd just use a standard lube on here, not like a chain wax, so it actually does pick up just stuff from the road, which even on like your first ride out will make everything just look disgusting. And yeah. So give this one a little wipe down too. Cool. All right. Now, back to this. So, you want to make sure that your chain goes over the cassette, and then it's going to go in and then kind of over inside of your derailleur in the space between the top jockey wheel, which is this like pulley here. You've got two of them. And then it'll go over that one. And then you'll go quick over the bottom one too, to make almost an S bend. And then inside of this small protector here, there we go. And try and make sure that it doesn't, like, you know, run off the actual chain. And get our chain tool here. I'm trying to get these kind of preset so that once we get it ready to go, I can just get these two pieces and link them up. And you will connect them with your magic link, or if you have an older style or single use chain link here, you actually use a chain tool to use a connector pin. But I mean, honestly, just spring for the magic link and a reusable one at that. And then you just use your chain tool and gently push out. And then to undo it, you just push in. And then they come disconnected, which is not what we want right now. But it's just that easy. And that way it makes it a lot easier to clean your chain. Because then instead of having to use an on-the-bike chain cleaner or any other kind of cleaning tool, which like, they're not difficult either. Like I've got one right here. You fill it with a chain cleaner, and just kind of dab it over, hold it, run through. With an e-bike, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to be able to, you know, move your chain. Again, not that difficult. Just grab it by hand. Or you just put a hex wrench in there and move it. Or you get used to your rear wheel moving very quickly. And then, here we are. We've done our maintenance. Now, of course, the next step, and I don't have a towel laid down here, the next step would be to put new lubricant on the chain, make sure it gets onto every cog on the cassette, wipe off the excess, make sure this derailleur has, space on the name bit, but yeah, anyways, you just want to make sure everything works and make sure you're able to go through everything to have a nice, safe, clean, effective operating bike, especially if it is your main form of transportation. Because otherwise, you can run into some serious problems. Or, from what I hear, join the fixie community and enjoy hills. I would not recommend, but found a little bit of dirt. And these gear wipes are great. There. Makes it so you don't have to just kind of like go through and pull out a whole cleaning kit, dab in some cloths, and pull out some actual bike cleaner. You can just pull out a cleaning cloth. They're almost always safe and effective to use on your skin. These ones are from Silka, just gear wipes. They get grease and grime off your hands, off your gear. You can even use it to clean your chain. And you know, it's not going to get inside of everything, but yeah, it works great. Plus, you can put a pretty nice shine on your bike too. I mean, you still want to put something to protect it on top of it, but also, you know, storage containers. If you too have a confined space that you call your bike room and workshop. I'll try and go back through all this and put whatever tools I used or whatever gear, whatever tools, all that. Try not to hit my head. Into the description down below. I do have some stuff in there, notably the DJI Mic Mini. It's a newest thing. You may have seen it hanging onto my shirt here. You know, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it, if you've listened to some of my other stuff. This is my first time actually using it on a live stream and actually on one of my published videos now. So it's new. I got sent it by the Tech Network, so I'm excited to use it more. It's tiny. It's like the size of a quarter versus the Mic 2, which is also tiny, but ever so slightly bigger. And then, like, this is recorded on the Pocket 3 gimbal head. It's super cool. But enough of that, of the shilling. Next is the really fun part. This is where I break my back. Not actually. So, now that we know that, actually I can go through the, I didn't make sure it actually shifted. Well, that part's mildly concerning. Well, this is an easy fix. So it's not going into the smallest gear. Very annoying, but pretty common. So you just want to make sure that your clutch is off. That was the thing I was spacing on the name of it. It's just a little switch here, and it's this thing here. It makes it so your derailleur doesn't slap around, your chain doesn't smack up. If you're going off-road or on some bumpy roadways, very common here in Milwaukee, if you have the clutch off, your derailleur will and chain will slap around, and it makes it pretty common then for your chain to come loose. If you have the clutch on, it doesn't do that. Much less common to have a chain drop. But if, like me right now, you're not able to get into your two largest gears, those are the smallest cogs on your cassette, you want to turn that off and just pull up on the chain. We're just going to manually shift. Problem solved. Just going to manually shift. We got to get these screws tight. All right. And then you just index the gears, and that's going to be these two here. A little bit smaller. And so that's actually going to move the derailleur in and out to tell it which gear you're going to. I don't know why these got all out of whack. Might not be as simple as I thought. Oh. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do further research on that. But we at least got most of it. So just to give you a good look at what I was looking at, it is these guys right here. And so these are the derailleur limit screws. You've got your lower limit, higher limit, and your B screw. The B screw looked like it might have been bumped in because the derailleur looked like it was pushed a little too far forward. As I was turning them, I was keeping count of how far the B screw, which does fore and aft, or forward and back for the derailleur. So how far this thing moves forward and back, which sometimes can affect how it shifts and allows the actual chain to move. And then also the lower limit screw, but yeah, I just gotta really dig in there. But yeah, that just takes a little more focus. Basically, you're trying to get those pulley wheels down there matched up with these cogs so that the chain is perfectly lined up while it's shifted in that position, which we did not get. So there's that. Whee! Let's fly again. All right. Well, so now we're back on the desk. By the failed attempt to have the laptop as the moderating computer. Thanks everybody for joining in tonight. I know it was not the greatest start to the stream. It seemed like the rest of it went pretty well, aside from, well, I don't know, it did seem like it went pretty well. Yeah, hopefully I'll have more coming. I do plan on bringing back the Exploring Zwift kind of thing, mostly because it keeps me accountable. And then also, for those who don't know what the hell Zwift is, you get to see it and you get to see what routes are out there. And it gives me an opportunity to badge hunt, or route badge hunt. So that's pretty cool too. So I get to explore, as well as getting a little more fit on my bike inside. It's a good way to incorporate it with a lot of running. So hopefully, also with the new job, I'll figure out when my next big training is, so I can actually start scheduling things race-wise. As always, feel free to check out everything in the links in the description. If you're in the area, or even if you're not, feel free to join any of the races, or any of the other events too. I'm always open to see people and say hi, as long as you're not like some serial killer, preferably not. Try and keep those on to the minimum. But yeah, otherwise, anything you purchase in the links down below just goes right back to the channel. I always appreciate it. Same thing with any of your viewership here. Any of those, it says like chat revenue. I have no idea what that is. I think those are supposed to be those like super like things. Any of those things, they just go right back to the channel. Same thing with watching any of my other stuff. For some reason, my ad revenue's been going up. I'm not complaining. I like it. It's cool. So, yeah, hopefully I'll see you all around, and like, subscribe. See you next time. Thank you.